In the past, business automation was a simple workflow that softwares followed. For example, in your email marketing, we'd fill in variables. But now with AI, that's changed drastically. And I want to cover some of the best AI automation softwares for your business today. Now, first, we need to understand the difference between a workflow, an automation, and an agentic AI automation or AI workflow. Now, the real difference is the workflow is the system your team is doing. It is the steps that are being followed currently in your process. Now, automation is simply taking those first system or steps and automating it. And then an AI workflow is where you can add intelligence. So, what you're currently doing, if you have a human check, if you have kind of calculations that are really complicated or have to be thought through, that's where the AI takes place. In the past, you could still do a lot of quote unquote AI with really advanced programming and software. It was called if then statements, but they got really, really advanced where there's hundreds of variations pre-programmed in, and tools like ManyChat did this for years where they just had threads that conversations would go based on certain triggers and decisions. Now, my name is Scott Bartnick. I'm a systems expert. I've been implementing systems in businesses for over 10 years, including Fortune 500 companies. And I want to teach you exactly what the best AI automation software is for you today. Now, to do that, you really have to understand more than just what a system is or what a software is. We have to talk through the different tools, but then how are you actually going to use it and what level are you at? Now, once we have a little understanding of what a workflow is and a system and an automation, we can jump into the tools to start. But make sure to stick around because I'm going to explain how all of them work and which one you really need to start with. Now, a few of the core ones that you've probably heard of are Zapier, Make, N8N, ChatGPT, Claude, and then other tools like Codex, Manus are becoming more and more popular. And the reason why the tools like Claude and Manus and Codex are becoming more popular is because it's easier than ever to basically custom code and build software versus using Zapier and Make and N8N. Now, there's still a really good use case for these tools, and I'll explain why. But as you get more and more advanced, you're going to start building custom software. Now, I'm going to show you a really quick example of a tool that you can build using AI automation and different softwares to grow your business. So one of the tools that I built for my team was an AI proposal generator. So we were using a proposal software before, but there were a lot of steps involved in the system. So this became the constraint in my team's business is a proposal took them about 2 hours. So in this example, they basically fill out a simple form, and to make it even faster, as soon as they start typing a name, it auto generates suggestions and pulls in their calls and transcripts from Fathom, which is the tool that we use. Now, what it does is as soon as they hit generate, it actually creates that fancy proposal for them to share with the team. So I can't really show you too far into these because they are real companies, but I can just show you kind of skimming through what it looks like real fast. And so that's fully AI, and then my team can go in and edit. So that's fully AI, and my team can go ahead and edit the proposals like they would in a normal software. And it's what it does is it saves them a whole bunch of time. Now, as we go through the different steps of the process, I'll explain more about this example. And another piece of it is we send pre-enriched emails basically showing the company the lead background, their journey with our company, where they kind of signed up, where they booked their call, some pain points they might be feeling, some suggestions to help close that deal. And so we do all these steps in pre-research. So this is what I would call an automation, but it's an AI automation because it's thinking, it's drafting, it's writing, it's analyzing, it's kind of compiling. So each one of these steps is a workflow. So it's grabbing information from here, it's grabbing information from our CRM, all these different locations in our CRM, and then it's kind of researching the company, it's looking into other tools like Apollo, it's researching other tools that we use, and it's grabbing a whole bunch of information. So all of this could have been done before AI. It's just pulling everything in. All AI does in this one was first, it helped me code it, and then two, analyzes and summarizes, and then it helps make suggestions based on the data. So that's the part that is AI. The rest is just pulling in information. So it's a mixture here, and this is where it becomes really powerful. Now, I mentioned choosing your tool. you can, and we previously had something like this in Zapier because you noticed that I was going from one to the next in a step. And so you can build that in with Zapier and make. And if you're doing simple automations, it is actually simpler, easier to do it in those tools because for every connection I make, I have to build a custom API and a custom connection. And it's a lot easier than it sounds. But if you're just getting started, is not where I'd recommend starting. And I would still, honestly, I would start with Zapier's what I consider beginner, Make is intermediate, and then N8N is advanced when it comes to that type of tool, which is a workflow automation tool. And then when we get into the custom coding, you do need to know more, but you also have to understand the system behind it, the steps that go into it to actually be successful. Where do we start? Before we look at the actual understanding which tool you want to start with, you have to understand where in your business to start. And to do that, we analyze the constraint in our business. And that's really just looking at what's the needy piece of your business, what's taking up the most time, where are your team members getting stuck, where your conversion's low, just what actually needs to be fixed. And if I fix this, will it improve my business? Will it increase revenue? Will it increase lifetime value? Will it recapture time? Will it reduce risk in my business? Those are really the questions you should be asking yourself. And a lot of times for that first implementation, I'm just looking to recapture some time. So in that proposal software example, and that's why I showed you early, is that recaptured a whole bunch of time because each proposal my team was doing took about 2 hours. And then my team can do about 2 calls an hour. So that's over 100 calls that we've been able to recapture and streamline just by simplifying that. Now, assume a very low conversion rate of 10%. And I apologize for doing all that math. That's 20 new sales that my team hypothetically could have made. Now, that is still to be determined. We're still analyzing it. It could be more because maybe these new proposals convert better. It could be less because maybe they don't convert as well. These are all things that help you determine whether you're going to build out these tools and where you're going to start. Once you understand, and if you don't really know where to start with a time study of you or your team. Figure out where they're actually spending time. Now, your next step is really important, is just understanding what project you're actually going to go after. And part of the way to do that is understanding the ROI behind the projects. Recapturing time is great, but if you don't reutilize that time, you haven't really done anything. So you have to understand what that potential return is for that project. So for my proposal project, like I mentioned, it was over 100 new sales calls hypothetically. But not only that, the proposals were significantly better. So theoretically, if I was converting at a 10%, maybe I get that to an 11%, which actually would be pretty significant when it comes to revenue and sales for the company. But not only that, I allowed myself to get 200 more calls in that time frame, or even just 100 more calls. So 10 more sales, so even 11 more sales. So you can see how you want to understand where that math is going and where your resources are going, because these AI tools are time consuming to build. You have to either hire a developer, you have to learn how to build. And if you don't understand systems, it's going to be difficult. Now, as I mentioned before, I've been teaching systems to businesses for over the last 10 years. I've been implementing them in Fortune 500 companies. And if you're interested in working directly with me, check out the link below. I have 2 open spots and I keep it extremely limited. So if you're interested, this offer may even be gone by the time you're watching the video. But currently I have 2 open spots to work directly with me. Now, what we want to do is understand the system behind whatever we're building. If we just try to wire something together, it's not going to work. So you have to understand current state. Look at what they're currently doing. So typically what I do, and even when I worked at large facilities, $100 million facilities, $200 million facilities, I would go walk out to a physical location and watch people build pieces. They'd build parts because I'm an engineer. And so I would look at everything they were doing and I'd figure out what steps were not needed. How could we maybe pre-build part of that? Maybe a machine is needed. Maybe there are cleanliness issues, defects. So I'm just looking at what the current process is before I start standardizing it. Once I start looking at these opportunities to standardize, I can remap out the system in my mind. And then, especially for service-based businesses, I can look at how do I automate that? Now, what steps can I just kind of connect and automate? Top of that, instead of automating it and sending the information to someone, How do I then use AI to make the decisions and implement the solution? Then, of course, I want to track it, and then I want to start improving. So the coolest thing about these AI systems now is they can become self-learning and self-healing. So as long as you get feedback into that loop, they can start getting better and better. So for example, in my proposal software, I actually track every time a proposal is approved, every time a sale is made, and then in the system, it flags that proposal as a good proposal. And it basically gives priority to that data for my prompts and my engineering to basically automatically update. And it's hugely powerful because as we get more data, we'll get better. And think about this with like running advertisement. Usually, when you run an ad, the first few don't do so well. Maybe you make a few bucks, maybe you lose a few bucks. But as you get more data, it gets better and better. So, why wouldn't you do that in your internal systems? Now, your final goal with picking out the best AI automation software for business is really just understanding what's going to have an impact to the business and what can you use right away. So, if you're just getting started, the simplest way is to start with Zapier. My current favorite AI chatbot agent is Manus. And the reason why I currently like Manus is because it's a mixture of what you normally use in ChatGPT, but then it can go take action. So if I wanted to go do research, if I wanted to build an app, if I wanted to build a website, it does it all in normal language. I get to have a conversation with it. It can deploy it for me instantly in its own system. And then I can have a conversation back and forth and have it edit things. So if you're looking to make the jump into that currently, at the moment, I think that is the easiest and best. Now, if you like videos like this and you want to learn more about systems, please make sure to subscribe. And if you are interested in working directly with me, again, I only have 2 open spots left and they will be filled soon. You can click the link down below to check it out.